I woke up in a Holiday Inn in Seattle to 72 missed calls. 72. Let me say that again so it sinks in. 72 missed calls from my son and his wife, all within the span of 8 hours. My phone screen glowed in the dark hotel room like an accusation scrolling through Lucas's name over and over and over. 11:17 p.m., 11:43 p.m., 12:02 a.m., 1:15 a.m. The calls kept coming through the night while I slept with my phone on silent, dreaming of nothing. I sat up in that generic hotel bed, you know, the kind beige comforter that's seen better days, abstract art that means nothing on the walls, and I played the first voicemail. "Mom, where are you?" Lucas's voice was pitched high, panicked. Not concerned, panicked. There's a difference. "Call me back immediately. Sarah's freaking out. We need to know you're okay. Call me back now." The second voicemail 30 minutes later. "This isn't funny, Mom. You need to tell us where you're staying. This is Sarah's really worried. Just call us back, okay?" The fifth, "Mom, we're sorry about earlier. Okay, we're sorry. Just come back. The kids want to see you." The 20th was from Sarah, my daughter-in-law, her voice dripping with that sugary sweetness I'd come to recognize as a warning sign. "Megan, honey, we overreacted. Lucas has just been so stressed with work. Please call us back. We want to make this right. The kids are asking for you." I listened to 10 more messages, each one increasingly desperate, increasingly manipulative, and then I stopped. Because here's what hit me as I sat there in that dark hotel room at 6:30 in the morning. Not a single message. Not one asked if I was okay, if I was safe, if something had happened to me. Every single message was about their worry, their stress, their need to know where I was. 24 hours ago, I was an uninvited burden they literally closed the door on. Today, I was a crisis. I set my phone down and thought, I need to know why. Let me back up. I need you to understand how we got here because I'm 63 years old, and I've been a mother for 34 years. And in all that time, I never thought I'd end up in a hotel room hiding from my own son. My name is Megan Walsh. I'm a retired nurse from Ohio, Cleveland specifically, and I raised Lucas by myself after my husband walked out when Lucas was 7. I worked double shifts at university hospitals, picked up extra weekend work, lived on coffee and determination. I put Lucas through Ohio State. I was at every baseball game, every parent-teacher conference, every late-night breakdown over calculus homework. We were close. We were a team, just the two of us against the world, you know. When Lucas graduated and got a job in tech out in Seattle, I was proud. My boy making it big in the city. When he met Sarah 3 years into his job there, I flew out to meet her. She was lovely, petite blonde, always perfectly put together. She worked in marketing for some startup. She smiled a lot, but I remember thinking even then that the smile never quite reached her eyes. But Lucas was happy, so I was happy. That's how it works when you're a mom. They got married in a beautiful ceremony overlooking Puget Sound. I wore the dress I'd been saving for years, navy blue, simple, elegant. Sarah's family was big, loud. Her mother, Catherine, barely spoke to me the entire wedding. But I told myself it was just the stress of the day, the chaos of a big event. When Sarah got pregnant with Emma, I flew out to help. I stayed for 2 weeks after Emma was born, my first grandchild. This tiny, perfect thing with Lucas's nose and Sarah's blonde hair. I held her, fed her, changed diapers at 2 a.m. so Sarah could sleep. I cleaned their apartment, did their laundry, cooked meals for the freezer. And Sarah, well, Sarah had opinions. Actually, Megan, the lactation consultant, said to hold her like this. "Oh, you don't need to sterilize the bottles that way. I have a system." I think she's crying because she's overstimulated. Maybe give her to me. Little things. Constant corrections. I told myself she was just being a new mom, anxious and protective. I told myself to give her grace. When Noah was born 18 months later, I asked if they needed help again. "We're okay, Megan," Sarah said on the phone, her voice pleasant and final. "I think I need to bond with him alone this time. You understand?" I stayed for 3 days. 3 days with my second grandchild, and then Sarah said she needed space to establish a routine, and I flew home to Ohio. That's when things started to shift. Slowly at first, so slowly I almost didn't notice. The weekly video calls became bi-weekly, then monthly. Every call got shorter. There was always some reason to cut it off early. "Emma's having a tantrum, Mom, I have to go." Noah just woke up from his nap, terrible timing. "Sorry." "We're heading out to Sarah's parents. Can we call you next week?" Next week would come and go. I'd be the one to call. Lucas's texts got shorter, more formal. Less like my son and more like, I don't know, an acquaintance. How are the kids? I'd text. Good, he'd reply. Just that. Good. I suggested visiting. There was always a reason I couldn't. The kids were sick. They were renovating the kitchen. Sarah's parents were staying with them. Work was crazy. The timing wasn't right. 6 months went by. 6 months since I'd seen my grandchildren in person. 6 months since I'd held Noah, heard Emma's laugh in real life instead of through a screen. I'm a nurse. I'm trained to notice patterns, to see when something's not right. And everything about this was not right. So I did something I'd never done before in my life. I booked a flight to Seattle without telling anyone. It was a Tuesday afternoon when my Uber pulled up to their house. One of those perfect Seattle fall days, crisp air leaves turning gold and red, the kind of day that makes you believe in new beginnings. Their house was beautiful. A craftsman-style home in the suburbs with a manicured lawn and a wooden swing set in the backyard. Lucas's Tesla in the driveway. A wreath on the front door made of eucalyptus and baby's breath. Picture perfect. I stood on that porch with my small suitcase, my heart hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. From inside, I heard children laughing. Emma's high-pitched giggle, the sound that used to light up my whole world. I smiled for the first time in weeks. I rang the doorbell. The laughter stopped. Footsteps approached. I could hear them through the door. Then Lucas's voice muffled, "Did you order something?" Sarah's response was too quiet to catch. The door opened, and my son stood there looking at me not with surprise, but with anger. Pure cold anger. "Mom," his voice was flat. "What are you doing here?" "I came to visit," I said, trying to keep my voice light, trying to ignore the way my stomach was dropping. "I wanted to surprise you and the kids. I've missed you all so much." "Who invited you?" Those 3 words. I'll hear them for the rest of my life. "Who invited you, Daniel? I don't need an invitation to see my own grandchildren." "You can't just show up without calling." He didn't move from the doorway, didn't step aside to let me in. Behind him, I caught a glimpse of Emma peeking around the corner of the hallway, her face curious. Then Sarah appeared, pulling Emma back, her hand on my granddaughter's shoulder, like a claim of ownership. "This isn't a good time," Lucas said. "When is a good time?" The words came out sharper than I intended. "I've been trying to visit for months, Lucas. 6 months. When is it going to be a good time?" "We've been busy. I could hear my voice rising, and I hated it, hated sounding like this. "Too busy for your own mother, too busy for me to see my grandchildren." Sarah's voice drifted from behind him, sweet as poisoned honey. "Lucas, tell her we'll call when things settle down." I looked at my son who I'd raised alone, who I'd sacrificed everything for, who I'd taught to ride a bike and helped with algebra and held when his father abandoned us. I looked at him, and I saw a stranger. "Mom," he stepped forward, and I had to step back, had to physically move backward off the porch step. "Go home. We'll talk later." "But I flew all the way here. I didn't ask you to do that." His voice was cold, so cold. "Go back to Ohio." And then he said it again, those words that would echo in my head for days. "Who invited you? Just leave." He closed the door, not slammed it, that would have been too emotional, too human. He simply calmly, deliberately closed it in my face. I stood there on that perfect suburban porch, birds chirping in the trees, someone's lawnmower humming in the distance, the smell of fresh-cut grass in the air. A perfect autumn Tuesday afternoon. And for the first time in my 63 years on this earth, I understood what it truly meant to be alone. My hands were shaking. My chest felt hollow, like someone had reached in and scooped out everything vital and left me with just the shell. I didn't knock again. I didn't cry, not yet. I picked up my suitcase, walked back down those perfect porch steps, and called another Uber. But I didn't go to the airport. I checked into the Holiday Inn 3 miles away, sat on the edge of that generic hotel bed, and stared at my phone. Because something was very, very wrong. And I was going to find out what. The hotel room was quiet except for the hum of the mini-fridge and the occasional sound of footsteps in the hallway. I sat cross-legged on the bed with my laptop still in the clothes I'd traveled in, and I did what any grandmother in 2024 would do. I Googled, "grandparent denied access to grandchildren." The results made my blood run cold. Page after page of stories just like mine. Grandparents cut off without warning, without explanation. daughters-in-law or sons-in-law who slowly, methodically isolated their spouse from anyone who'd known them before. Whole forums dedicated to grandparents who'd been erased from their families' lives. One term kept appearing: parental alienation. I clicked on a link, Alienated Grandparents United, a support group forum with thousands of members. I spent the next 3 hours reading stories that felt like someone had ripped them from my own life. The pattern was always the same: gradual isolation, excuses that seemed reasonable at first, video calls that got shorter and shorter, visits that were discouraged with reasons that sounded legitimate, and always someone orchestrating it, someone who saw the grandparent as a threat to their control. Sarah. I thought back over the past 2 years, really thought about it. How Sarah always positioned herself between me and Lucas during conversations. How she'd answer questions I directed at him. How our video calls would mysteriously have connection issues, or Emma would suddenly need attention the moment I appeared on screen. How Lucas's texts had changed shorter, more formal, like he was writing work emails instead of talking to his mother. How during my last visit, when Emma had climbed into my lap and said, "Grandma, when are you coming back?" Sarah had immediately scooped her up with a bright smile and said, "Oh honey, Grandma's very busy with her own life. We can't expect her to visit all the time." I'd been so focused on not being a burden, on respecting boundaries, on being the cool grandmother who didn't overstep, I hadn't seen what was happening right in front of me. My phone lit up. Another call from Lucas. Number 23. I silenced it. I pulled out the small notebook I always kept in my purse. Old nurse habit, always have something to write on, and I started documenting everything. Dates, times, every conversation I could remember, every text message, every excuse. Then I opened my messages and started scrolling back. 2 years of texts with Lucas and Sarah. January 2023. Can't wait to see you next month. Mom, Emma's asking about you every day. June 2023. Hey Mom, we might need to reschedule your visit. Sarah's mom wants to come that weekend. November 2023. Sorry the video call got cut off. Emma was overtired. We'll try again next week. March 2024. Things are crazy with work right now. Can we touch base in a few weeks about visiting October 2024? Not a good time, Mom. I took screenshots of everything. Every message, every canceled visit, every excuse. The evidence of my own erasure documented in blue and gray text bubbles. At 11 p.m., my phone started ringing again, and again, and again. I watched it light up in the dark room. Lucas, Sarah, Lucas, Lucas, Sarah, unknown number, Lucas, 72 calls through the night. I played the first voicemail again. Mom, where are you? Sarah's freaking out. Not are you okay? Not we're worried about you. Just where are you? Because they'd lost track of me. They'd lost control. And that I realized sitting in that hotel room at 3 a.m. with my phone buzzing like an angry hornet, that was what this had always been about. Control. Wednesday morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Maybe years. I ordered coffee from the hotel lobby, sat down with my laptop, and started researching in earnest. Not just stories from other grandparents, now I was looking for legal information. Rights. Options. Washington State grandparent visitation rights. I found it Washington did have grandparent visitation laws. The bar was high. I'd have to prove I had a substantial relationship with Emma and Noah, and that visitation served their best interests. But it was possible. I found a law firm, Rebecca Walsh & Associates, specializing in family law and grandparent rights. I read every article on their website, every case study. They'd won cases like mine before. Not all of them, but some. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. 63 years old, gray hair I'd stopped coloring 2 years ago, lines around my eyes from 30-plus years of night shifts and worry. But my eyes were sharp, clear, determined. I'd survived an abusive marriage. I'd raised a son alone while working full-time. I'd put myself through nursing school with a toddler on my hip. I'd outlasted hospital politics and difficult patients and doctors with God complexes. I wasn't about to let some 30-year-old marketing executive erase me from my grandchildren's lives. I picked up my phone and called the number on the website. Rebecca Walsh & Associates, how may I help you? Yes, I said, my voice steady. I need to schedule a consultation. It's regarding grandparent visitation rights. Of course, the receptionist said warmly. Can I get your name? Megan Walsh, and this is urgent. I can get you in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Does that work? I looked around the hotel room. My suitcase still packed. My phone showing 81 missed calls now. My entire life in Ohio on hold while I fought for my family in Seattle. Yes, I said. That works perfectly. After I hung up, I did one more thing. I pulled up my contacts and scrolled to Ryan Mitchell Lucas's college roommate who'd stayed in touch with me over the years. We'd exchanged Christmas cards, the occasional email. He'd sent me a photo when his daughter was born, and I'd sent congratulations when he made partner at his law firm in Portland. I typed carefully. Hi Ryan, hope you and family are well. Quick question, have you noticed anything different about Lucas lately? Just curious. Hope all is good. Megan. His response came within an hour. Hey, Mrs. Walsh, honestly. Yeah, haven't heard from him much since he got married. We used to grab beers when I was in Seattle, but Sarah doesn't really like his old friends, apparently. Why, everything okay? I stared at that message. Sarah doesn't really like his old friends. Another piece of the puzzle. I wrote back. Just checking in. Thanks, Ryan. Give my love to your family. I didn't tell him what was happening. Not yet. But I saved that text exchange, screenshotted it, added it to my growing file of evidence. By the time I went to bed Wednesday night, I had 12 pages of handwritten notes, 47 screenshots of text messages, 3 witnesses who could potentially testify about my relationship with Emma and Noah, an appointment with a lawyer in the morning, and a plan. Lucas called 6 more times that night. I didn't answer. I needed him to understand something he'd forgotten: I was his mother. But I was also a woman who'd fought her whole life for the people she loved, and I wasn't done fighting yet. Rebecca Walsh's office occupied the 14th floor of a glass building in downtown Seattle. I arrived 15 minutes early Friday morning, wearing the same navy blazer I'd worn to Lucas and Sarah's wedding. The irony wasn't lost on me. Rebecca turned out to be a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Her office walls were lined with case files and family photos, her own grandchildren, she explained. 3 and 5. She saw them every Sunday. The message was clear. I understand what you're fighting for. For the next hour, I showed her everything. My notebook, screenshots, the pattern of increasing distance, the door closing in my face, the 72 panicked calls. Rebecca listened without interrupting. When I finished, she sat back. Megan, I'm going to be direct. Washington allows grandparent visitation, but the bar is high. You'll need to prove you had a substantial relationship with Emma and Noah, and that visitation serves their best interests. I was there when Emma was born, I said. I stayed 2 weeks. I have photos, videos, everything. Good. Very good. She made notes. Here's what might work in your favor: this sudden escalation. Going from involved grandmother to shut out then their panic when you went silent. That suggests control, not concern. She leaned forward. But Megan, this will get ugly. Sarah will paint you as unstable, intrusive. Are you prepared? I thought of Emma's curious eyes before Sarah pulled her away. Yes. Rebecca quoted the retainer, $15,000. Most of my retirement savings. I believe in your case, she said gently, and those children deserve to know their grandmother. I pulled out my checkbook. When do we start? The certified letter went out Monday. Professional. Reasonable, requesting twice monthly visitations, 6 hours each. Non-threatening. It was also a declaration of war. I moved to an extended stay hotel near Green Lake. I wasn't going home to Ohio until this was resolved. Wednesday, 2 days after delivery, an email arrived. Lucas from an address I didn't recognize. Mom, I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to stop. Sarah is devastated. You're tearing our family apart. If you want to see the kids, just apologize and come over like a normal person. This legal threat is insane. Are you having some kind of breakdown? Lucas, I read it 3 times. Classic manipulation. You're tearing the family apart. You need to apologize. You're having a breakdown. I forwarded it to Rebecca without responding. Her reply, perfect. Save everything. Classic Darvo, deny attack, reverse victim and offender. Document it all. That evening my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered. Megan? Sarah's voice. No sweetness left. I think we need a woman-to-woman conversation. I have nothing to say to you, Sarah. I think you do. Lucas doesn't want you in our lives. He told me everything, how overbearing you were when he was growing up, how you made him feel guilty for moving away. He's relieved you're finally gone. The words were designed to hurt. They did. But I'd been a nurse for 30 years. I recognized manipulation when I heard it. If Lucas truly felt that way, I said quietly, he wouldn't need you to speak for him. I'm his wife. You isolated him from every friend he had, Sarah, from me. Now you're using my grandchildren as leverage, but I'm not going anywhere. Silence. Then her voice changed, colder. Let me tell you what I understand, Megan. You're a bitter old woman who can't accept she's not needed anymore. Lucas has a real family now. You had your time. It's over. Grandparents have rights, Sarah. She laughed sharp, brittle, ugly. Rights you think a court will help you when they hear about your drinking problem, your mental health issues, your inappropriate behavior with the children. My hands went cold. I don't have. That's not what Lucas will tell them. So here's my offer. Drop the lawsuit, disappear quietly, and maybe we'll let you send birthday cards. Keep pushing and you'll never see them again. Court order or not. She hung up. I sat frozen, then immediately called Rebecca. She threatened you, Rebecca said when I finished recounting every word. Write it down, right now. Time, date, exact words. This is evidence, Megan. She's desperate. Over the next 3 days, I made calls. Dorothy, my former neighbor in Cleveland. I watched you with Emma when they visited. You were patient, loving, natural. I'll tell any judge that. Ryan, Lucas's college roommate, Sarah, told Lucas his old friends were immature. He stopped returning my calls after that. Claire, my best friend in Portland. You were worried about the distance for over a year. I have emails where you asked if you were overreacting. You weren't. By Friday, Rebecca had affidavits from 9 witnesses, character references from 5 more, a documented pattern of my involvement from Emma and Noah's births until 6 months ago. We have a strong case, Rebecca said. Really strong. But when we file, they'll escalate. How much worse can it get? Her look told me I didn't want to know. Saturday morning, I found it under my hotel door. Cream-colored stationery, expensive. Someone had tracked me down again. Megan, I'm writing as one mother to another. I know you think I've turned Lucas against you, but he made his own choice. Your behavior has been harmful to our family. However, I'll offer compromise. Drop the lawsuit and you can have supervised visits once every 2 months. 2 hours each at our home. But you must drop the legal action first. You must trust us. If you continue, you're forcing us to reveal things about your past. Things Lucas shared about your mental state, your drinking, your behavior when he was growing up. Think carefully, your pride or your grandchildren. Sarah, my hands shook. Mental state, drinking. None of it true, but that didn't matter. Sarah was building a narrative. I photographed everything. Sent it to Rebecca. She's desperate. This is intimidation. Keep it safe. That night came the surveillance photos. Text messages from unknown numbers. Me entering my hotel. At a coffee shop. Walking to my car. Final message. We know where you are. I called the police. A board officer took my statement. Ma'am, you're in public places. Unless there's a direct threat, there's not much we can do. File for a protective order if you feel unsafe. After he left, I understood this was psychological warfare. And Lucas was Sarah's soldier. Rebecca insisted I disappear for a few days. Go to Claire's. Rest. Come back stronger. Sunday evening, Claire drove me to a community center in Portland. Alienated Grandparents United. 11 people sat in a circle. Every face wore the same expression I saw in my mirror, exhausted determination mixed with grief. Dorothy, mid-60s. Haven't seen my granddaughter in 4 years. I suggested they not give a 2-year-old Mountain Dew. That made me controlling. Frank, 70s. My son's wife said I molested my granddaughter because I gave her a bath at 3 when she spilled juice. 6 years later, still telling that lie. My granddaughter's 10 now. When my turn came, I told them everything. Dorothy reached across and squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. After the meeting over diner coffee, they shared survival strategies. They'll try to break you before the hearing, Helen warned. She'd lost her case. Sweet one day, vicious the next. They'll make you question your own memory. How do you survive it? Remember why you're fighting, Dorothy said. She'd won her case. Not for your son, for those babies. Someday they'll be adults wondering where their grandmother was. You'll say I never stopped fighting. Wednesday night at Claire's, I wrote a letter I wouldn't send for years. My dearest Emma and Noah, someday you might wonder why your grandmother wasn't there. Someone might tell you I didn't care that I stayed away. So I'm writing this now to tell you the truth. I never stopped loving you. I was there when you were born. I held your tiny hands. I sang you lullabies. And when you were taken from me, not by your choice, but by adults making decisions, I fought to get back to you. I'm fighting right now. You are not alone. You have never been alone. With all my love forever, Grandma Megan, I sealed it, put it in my purse. Tomorrow I'd put it in a safe deposit box. Evidence or hope? Thursday, an email from Lucas's personal address. Mom, I've had time to think. I was too harsh. You're my mother and I love you. I don't want lawyers between us. Can we meet just you and me? No Sarah, no attorneys. That coffee shop on Pike Street, remember the one with apple turnovers? I want to fix this. Please, Mom. Love, Lucas. My heart stopped. The coffee shop was real. We'd gone there during his college internship, laughed over bad turnovers and worse coffee. This was my son, the real Lucas. Or it was bait. I forwarded it to Rebecca. Thoughts tempting. But why now, after threats and surveillance? If you go, be careful. I wrote back Monday 10 a.m. Just us. His instant reply, thank you, Mom Pawn. Monday was gray and drizzling. I arrived early, chose a table by the window. My heart pounded. At 10:02, Lucas walked in. Thinner, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, something flickered. Relief, guilt. Hi, Mom. Lucas, coffee ordered. No turnovers. Silence stretched between us. I miss you, he said. I miss how things were. Then why did you close the door in my face? He flinched. I was stressed. Sarah's mom was visiting. She's been sick. Then you showed up and I snapped. I'm sorry. It sounded rehearsed. Lucas, I've been trying to visit for 6 months. We've been busy. Has Sarah told you what I supposedly did wrong? Give me specific examples. He hesitated. She said you criticized her parenting, made her feel inadequate. When what exact words did I use? I don't remember specifics. Because it didn't happen. Sarah convinced you of things that aren't real. Don't make this about her. When's the last time you talked to Ryan? Your college friends? Anyone from before Sarah? People drift apart, Mom. Everyone all at once? Or did Sarah have opinions about them being bad influences? His jaw tightened. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what isolation looks like. I lived it with your father before I left him. Don't you dare compare Sarah to Dad. He stood abruptly, chair scraping. Dad was abusive. Sarah loves me. She's protected me from your criticism. What criticism? Give me one example. He stood there, unable to produce a single memory. Realization flickered across his face. They didn't exist. Then the door opened. Sarah walked in. I watched her scan the room, spot us approach with perfect concern. Pink sweater, blonde ponytail, America's sweetheart. But her eyes were ice. Lucas, honey. She held up his phone. You forgot this. Thought you might need it. She'd been waiting, watching. This wasn't Lucas reaching out, it was an ambush. We were talking about dropping the lawsuit, Lucas said quickly, like a caught child. Wonderful. Sarah slid in uninvited. Very mature Megan. All this legal drama isn't good for the children. Emma's been having nightmares. Because her grandmother disappeared without explanation, I said evenly. Sarah's smile tightened. Or because her grandmother is causing stress for her parents. If you really loved them, you'd stop this. If you really loved them, you'd let them have a grandmother. We've offered compromise. Under your control. That's not a relationship, Sarah. That's a hostage situation. The mask cracked. You arrogant, bitter woman. Her voice dropped, sweetness gone. You had your chance to be a mother. You don't get to hijack mine. Lucas is my husband. Those are my children. This is my family. You're a visitor at best. Right now, you're not even that. Lucas touched her arm. Sarah. No, she needs to hear this. Sarah stood, pulling him up by the elbow. You can play victim in court all you want, Megan. Gather your little affidavits. But when the judge hears about your controlling behavior, your drinking problem, your refusal to respect boundaries, you'll lose. And then you'll have nothing. No grandchildren, no son, nothing. She pulled Lucas toward the door, hand tight on his elbow, guiding him like a child. You have until Wednesday to drop the suit, Megan, she called back. After that, she smiled. Cold, beautiful. It's war. The door closed behind them. I sat alone with 2 cooling coffees. Hands steady, Mind clear. Let it be war. Wednesday morning, my phone rang. Rebecca. Before we file the petition, I need to try something. Do you trust me? Yes. Good. Be at my office tomorrow at 2 p.m. And Megan, this might be the hardest thing you've ever done, but it might also be the thing that saves your family. Thursday at 2 p.m., I walked into Rebecca's conference room and stopped short. Lucas and Sarah sat on one side of the table, Rebecca on the other. And between them, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a calm presence. Megan, Rebecca said, "This is Dr. Patricia Ford. She's a family therapist who specializes in parental alienation. Before we go to court, she's offered to mediate a conversation, voluntary, completely off the record. If we can't resolve this today, we file tomorrow." Lucas looked uncomfortable. Sarah looked furious. "I didn't agree to therapy," Sarah said. "You agreed to a meeting," Rebecca replied calmly. "This is that meeting. You're free to leave any time, but if you do the petition files within the hour." Sarah's jaw tightened, but she stayed seated. Dr. Ford opened a notebook. "Let's begin." Dr. Ford turned to Lucas. "I want you to answer my questions without looking at your wife. Can you do that?" Lucas nodded, hands clasped tight. "Before you married Sarah, how often did you speak to your mother?" "Every week, sometimes twice." "And now?" "It's been 6 months." "Whose choice was that?" Lucas's eyes darted to Sarah. He stopped himself. "We decided together." "Did you? Or did Sarah decide and you agreed?" Silence. Dr. Ford continued, gentle but relentless. "When's the last time you talked to Ryan? Your college roommate? I don't know. A year, maybe." "Why?" "People drift apart." "Or did Sarah have opinions about your friends?" Lucas said nothing. "Lucas, you're a grown man, a father. You can't answer simple questions without checking your wife's reaction. Does that concern you?" Something in Lucas's face crumpled. For the first time since I'd arrived, I saw my son, the real Lucas, break through. I don't know when it happened," he whispered. "When I stopped being me." Sarah stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous. You're manipulating him." "Sarah," my voice surprised me with its steadiness. "Why are you so afraid of me?" "I'm not afraid. I'm protecting my family." "From what? From love? From anyone who knew Lucas before you?" Sarah's hands trembled. "You don't understand. You can't understand." "Then help me understand." For a long moment, Sarah stood there shaking. Then something broke. She sank back into her chair, and when she spoke, her voice was small, broken. "My grandmother—" She stopped, started again. "My grandmother ruined my mother's marriage." We all went still. "She was controlling, manipulative. She told my mom she was a terrible mother, that she was doing everything wrong. My mom had a breakdown when I was 7. She tried to—" Sarah's voice cracked. "She tried to end it. I found her in the bathroom." My chest tightened. "I was 7. I watched paramedics take my mother away because my grandmother convinced her she was worthless. So I swore I would never let that happen to my children." The room was silent except for Sarah's ragged breathing. "Sarah," I said softly, "I'm not your grandmother." "How do I know that?" She looked at me with desperate eyes. "How do I know you won't do the same thing?" "Because I'm asking for hours, not control. I'm asking to love them, not raise them." Dr. Ford leaned forward. "Sarah, you're projecting your trauma onto Megan. You're punishing her for someone else's sins." Lucas spoke, then his voice hollow. "Sarah, Mom never criticized you. Not once. I made that up." We all looked at him. "You what?" Sarah turned to him. "I made it up because you needed me to. Because it was easier than—" He took a shaking breath. "There's something else. Something I never told you, Mom." He looked at me, and I saw fear in his eyes. "When Sarah got pregnant with Emma, I had an affair. Brief. Stupid. It ended before Emma was born, but Sarah found out when Emma was 6 months old." The words hit me like a physical blow. She was devastated. She wanted to leave. I begged her to stay. I promised I'd do anything. Be anything. His voice broke. "So when she said your visits stressed her out, when she said you made her feel inadequate, I didn't question it. I felt I had no right to ask her for anything else. I let her cut you out because I thought I owed her that much." Sarah's face was white. "I didn't ask you to cut your mother out, Lucas." "You didn't have to ask. I offered because I was drowning in guilt." He looked at her. "And maybe part of you let me because you wanted to punish me by taking away someone I loved." Sarah flinched like he'd slapped her. "You both hurt me," I said, tears finally falling. "Deeply. But hurt people hurt people. I see that now." I looked at Sarah. "I'm not your grandmother. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to love Emma and Noah." Then to Lucas. "You're my son, always, but you need to find yourself again. Without guilt, without fear." Doctor. Ford let the silence sit for a moment before speaking. "So what happens now? We didn't need court after all. The agreement was drafted that afternoon. Visits twice monthly, 6 hours each. First 3 months, Sarah present but not hovering. After 3 months, reevaluate. Family therapy continues all 3 of us. But I could see it in their faces, the way they didn't look at each other, the careful space between their chairs. Lucas and Sarah's marriage was fragile, maybe already broken. "I won access," I told Rebecca later. "But I lost something too." "Sometimes winning means everyone loses a little," she said gently. "But those kids gain a grandmother. Hold on to that." Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks later, community center playground. Sarah brought Emma and Noah. She stayed on a bench 20 feet away, present but distant. Emma ran toward me, then hesitated. Looked back at her mother. Sarah nodded. "It's okay, sweetheart." Emma crashed into my arms. 6 months of missing poured into that hug. "Grandma, Mommy said you were sick. Are you better?" "I'm all better now, baby." Noah was shy at first, clutching his stuffed elephant. But after 10 minutes, he climbed into my lap, his small, warm weight feeling like coming home. We played for 6 hours. Swings, sandbox, stories, the grandmother book we used to read together. Emma talked nonstop about kindergarten, her new friend Zoe, her loose tooth. Noah showed me his elephant, his trucks, his serious toddler face when he built block towers. At the end, Emma asked the question that broke my heart. "Grandma, are you coming back?" "Yes, baby. I'm always coming back." Sarah approached slowly. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for not giving up. Thank you for letting me try again. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something." 3 months later, my phone rang at 11 p.m. Lucas, his voice rough like he'd been crying. "Mom, Sarah and I are separating." My heart sank. The therapy brought up too much. The affair, the isolation, the control. She needs to heal from her grandmother trauma. I need to figure out who I am without guilt. "Lucas, we're doing 50-50 custody. Emma and Noah will be okay. We'll make sure of it." He paused. "But Mom, I need you to know something." I waited. "When you fought for us, for Emma and Noah, you also fought for me. You reminded me that love doesn't come with conditions, that being a good father means letting my kids be loved by more people, not fewer." His voice broke. "You saved me, Mom, even when I didn't deserve it." Tears ran down my face. "Lucas, you always deserved it. You just forgot for a while. I'm going to therapy. Real therapy, just me. And I'm going to try to be the dad Emma and Noah deserve. The son you raised me to be." Silence stretched between us, comfortable now. "Mom, yes, I love you. I love you too, sweetheart. I always have. I always will." 1 year later. I sit in my small apartment near Green Lake. 2 bedrooms, one with butterfly wallpaper for Emma, one with trucks for Noah. What I gained weekly visits with my grandchildren. Emma draws pictures of Grandma's house. Noah's vocabulary includes Gamma love you. Lucas is rebuilding himself therapy guitar again, reconnecting with Ryan. Small birthday parties in my apartment, chaotic and perfect. What was lost, Lucas and Sarah divorced after 9 months. Sarah moved to Portland close, but not too close. Emma struggles with 2 homes, asks why Mommy and Daddy don't live together. Noah's too young to understand, but senses sadness. My relationship with Sarah civil, but wounded. The perfect family illusion shattered. Lucas carries guilt that maybe if he'd been stronger earlier, they'd have made it. What remains complicated Sarah's trauma hasn't disappeared. She's in therapy, but still struggles with control. Holidays are negotiated carefully. Emma will need therapy eventually. Children absorb everything. And sometimes late at night I wonder, did I do the right thing? Was the cost too high? But on a Saturday afternoon, Emma on swings, Noah in the sandbox, Lucas pushing Emma laughing a genuine laugh I haven't heard in years. Noah runs to me. Gamma-look Castle. In this moment everything is worth it. People ask if I have regrets. Yes, I regret not seeing Sarah's pain sooner. I regret that Emma and Noah navigate divorce at such young ages. I regret that my fight for love caused hurt. But I don't regret fighting. Because love, real love, isn't just showing up when it's easy. It's showing up when doors close in your face. When you're called crazy, bitter, controlling. When winning means losing something else. Love is refusing to disappear even when it would be easier to vanish. Emma and Noah will grow up knowing their grandmother never stopped fighting for them. And maybe that will teach them that love is worth fighting for, even when it's messy, even when it hurts, even when it costs everything. My phone buzzes. Text from Sarah. Emma wants to FaceTime before bed. Is that okay? I smile, type back. Always. Not perfect, not healed, but trying. And sometimes trying is enough.